A big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. If you need a website or a domain, go to squarespace.com/James for 10% off your first purchase.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Snowdonia National Park. Trefan looking pretty cool this morning. I haven't been here for what feels like months because there's always been a risk of Emily going into labour and there's no phone signal here, so I've been very cautious about coming into the mountains. However, last week I became a dad, which has just been absolutely amazing. I've loved it, except for the fact that when you have a newborn baby, as many of you will know, you spend a lot of time indoors, and I've been getting a bit of cabin fever, so I've taken a break from my break to come back into the mountains today, and very, very pleased to be here. I've been taking some photos of this path, the mountains, already having a great time. So today the plan is to head up towards Ogwen and hopefully stay somewhere around the cloud line rather than above the cloud line and therefore in zero visibility. But either way, to be honest, even if I get no photos today, I won't really mind because, I mean, it's just great to be back. I've taken photos from here more times than I can remember, but I just love it because of the way that these mounds shape the bottom of the lake from this perspective. You might not be able to see what I'm talking about on the GoPro, so I'll get a quick video clip on my camera, but you see sort of how the mounds just shape the bottom of the lake. I love that. Can't really explain why, but I think it makes a nice photo. Anyway, upwards. Oh, the summit of Ogwen is up there, and yeah, can't see up there. That cloud does not look like it's shifting. Oh. Well, hello all, and welcome to a different day and a slightly different location. I was about 5 miles away the other day, the other side of Trefan, and as you saw, the weather wasn't really playing ball, so I thought I'd cut my losses, come out another day, and that day is today. I say day, it's really evening. It's about an hour till sunset, and I'm hoping that this cloud cover that's just turned up is going to turn pink when the sun does go down, so fingers crossed. Also, I don't know if you can really see that there's a mountain range over there because of the exposure. Is that better? Can you tell there's mountains over there now? Anyway, while we wait for the sun to go down, I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about something that I've noticed ever since my little boy turned up about photography in the past couple of weeks. I first noticed it when I was a beginner photographer, and I think most people notice it when they're beginner photographers, but I haven't thought about it an awful lot since being a beginner. I'll get on with it. Right, what am I talking about as I sit here in a soaking wet cotton t-shirt? Don't know why I decided to wear this to climb a mountain. It's disgusting. But anyway, I'm talking about the fact that there is very little correlation in photography between effort and reward, between input and output, which is weird because when we're kids, we're told that in most things in life, you only get out what you put in. And in photography, I often don't think that's the case. Now that sprung to mind over the past week or two for me because I spent lots of mornings over the past couple of weeks sat on the sofa really early in the morning with my little boy, trying to get him back to sleep in his Moses basket, taking photos of him. And I've literally not had to lift a muscle. I've honestly just been sitting on my sofa, taking photos of him from here. I've not had to climb a mountain, I've not had to sit in the cold for any period of time, I've not got sweaty. They've been literally some of the easiest photos I've ever taken. All I've had to do is press the shutter and not move my body at all. And yet, some of those photos will probably end up being some of the most treasured photos I ever take because they're of my little boy when he's only days old. Now, the reason I bring this up is that a lot of the time, I think, as photographers, we can start attaching effort to the value of a photo. So for example, I could come up here on a day when it's raining sideways and there's absolutely nothing to show for it really, but I'll force a photo and I'll place value on that photo purely because of the effort it took me to get that photo. The problem with doing that is that other people don't always see the journey that you've taken to get that photo, they just see the image itself, and therefore they might not place the same value on it as you do, which can sometimes lead to a bit of confusion and a bit of disappointment when other people don't seem to value your photos as you do. Now, the other problem when you do this is that when you're taking photos that don't require any effort, sometimes you naturally don't think that they're any good because they've not taken any effort to get them. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's a trap to be really wary of. Now, this is something that I've noticed with videos as well. For example, I spent a week in Greenland a couple of years back and I was stood in Arctic temperatures for a week trying to get good photos. I made a video of it, and that video got what I'd describe as average views for my channel. The next week I made a video just sat at my desk talking nonsense for 10 minutes, and that video went gangbusters. And the amount of effort required for each of those videos was hugely different. But the reward that I got for each of those videos was also hugely different in a way that was the inverse of what I would have expected. And it's much the same with photography. The light's getting pretty good now. If you can see the back of my camera, look at that. Yes. Also, I am using a tripod purely because at the same time I'm trying to eat my pizza.
If I look like a bit of a scruff, I do apologise. All the t-shirts that I own, apart from this one, are currently covered in a substance that used to be inside the baby. So yeah, they're in the wash. Anyway, as I was saying yesterday, the main message of this video is to try and encourage people not to place too much value on photos that are mediocre just because they were difficult to get, and to make sure you don't feel guilty about photos that were straightforward to get if in actual fact they're still really good photos, because in both cases the viewer is often unaware of how many calories you've burnt trying to get a photo, how hard you've had to work to try and get a photo, how long it's taken you to get a photo. So you placing value on those things just because you know about them doesn't really give you a good indication of how a photo is going to be received, and therefore for the most part it should be disregarded. Now, I have lots of photos that I've had to work quite hard at appreciating purely because I nearly disregarded them because I took them at a roadside, for instance. So this one here of this horse in Iceland, I took at a roadside. This one in Norway, I took at a roadside. This one in the Peak District was at a roadside. This one in Greenland was taken out of a hotel room window. This one was on a path in Italy, 2 minutes from a car park. You get the idea. There are loads of photos I've taken that I've learnt to become proud of, despite the fact that I burnt 0 calories and made 0 physical effort to get them, because I think there are lots of other things that photos can be appreciated for besides the journey that you took to take the photos. Anyway, hopefully you find that useful. I just thought I'd talk about it because I've noticed it, as I mentioned, over the past couple of weeks since Noah has been born. I'll go and get him in a minute. He's having a bath. I didn't appreciate, before having a baby, what an incredible life it is to be a baby. He literally has baths, sleeps, and eats. That's it. So yeah. Oh, also, yesterday's photos, this was one of the images that I got. Really like this shot, except for the fact that the heather is really not up to all that much. The light isn't kind of filtering through to it. And when I got home, I was a little bit gutted when I saw this image because it didn't catch like I really expected it to. Luckily, I got another version which is severely underexposed, which, given that there's no bursts of colour in the foreground, works much better, I think, and that is this one. So yeah, underexposing hides all the mediocre detail in the foreground, but also brings out all the detail in the sky while still maintaining the drama in kind of the middle slot of the image. So I think that works better. Let me know what you think, but yeah, I was quite pleased that I got the underexposed version. Also, on another slightly different note, I've been asked quite a bit recently how I get kind of the mystical feel in some of my images. There are a few options for it. Most simply, you can just reduce the clarity in Lightroom, which gets rid of some of the local contrast. Or what I prefer to do is use Luminar. Let's go to Luminar. So this is one of the photos I took the other day, and I typically use glow, a mix of glow in the soft focus bright type. And as you can see, what that does, I'll just take it way to the extreme so you can see what it does is it just softens everything and brightens everything, essentially. So I never really have it on the 90, I assume that's a percentage, 90% amount. That's, as you can see, it looks ridiculous, but something like 6 normally adds a nice touch. Also, similar sort of thing with the mystical feature. I mean, I don't know exactly what these things do, but I just play around with both of them and see what works. You do have to be careful with things like this though, as you do with all parts of editing photos, because before you know it, you can end up with something that just looks way over the top. And so you have to keep coming back to this to check that it still looks okay. But yeah, I play around with mystical and glow until I end up with something that I'm happy with. And for images like this, I think often it really works well. So yeah, there we have it. That's another video. Thank you very much for watching, and a big thank you to this week's video sponsor, Squarespace. And so if you don't know, Squarespace is the platform that takes care of my website, my online store, all of my newsletters, the analytics for all of those things, and I absolutely love it. And in short, you don't need to know any code whatsoever to get yourself a Squarespace website or online store. And yeah, everything's really customizable. There's drag and drop features, super simple to use. And so whether like me, you're looking for an online portfolio for your images, or you might just be looking for a website for any other purpose, Squarespace is definitely the place that I would turn to. So if you're looking for your own website or online portfolio, then go to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And after that, if you'd like to make a purchase, then go to squarespace.com/James for 10% off that first purchase. I'd really recommend doing so. And yeah, big thank you to them for their continued support. Right, where is this baby? So this is Noah. And you can't really see his face because he's got it buried in the only t-shirt that's not... There we go. Say hello, Noah. He's completely useless at the moment. Really, really useless. But I'm hoping in future he'll be like a producer or an art director. Something useful for me, really. Maybe just a really good assistant. He'll probably very quickly become a much better photographer than me, which will hurt, actually. Anyway, goodbye from the both of us, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.